740 NBC News exclusive. Amal Clooney, the smart, savvy, and stylish lawyer and, yes, wife of George Clooney, is speaking out.
Amal Clooney is frequently in the public eye due to the fact that she is renowned for her attractiveness, charisma, and professional accomplishments. On the other hand, she has been making headlines for reasons that are beyond her control as of late. Because she is married to George Clooney, Amal Clooney is required to live her life under the constant and unrelenting scrutiny of the paparazzi, with every facet of her private life being scrutinized. What strategies does she employ to deal with situations like these? Moreover, what kind of impact is it having on her family? Please come along with us as we investigate the specifics of what transpired with George Clooney's wife, who went on to lead separate lives. Due to the nature of their respective jobs, Amal and George Clooney are essentially living their lives in isolation from one another. Both of them are workaholics, and although their jobs are very different from one another, they both spend extended periods of time traveling to different parts of the world. George, on the other hand, is an actor who is constantly busy directing movies or acting, whereas Amal is a well-known human rights lawyer who is playing a prominent role in the prosecution of Israeli leaders for their war crimes. As a result of security concerns related to Amal's recent controversial work for the International Criminal Court, as well as George's desire to speak out on political issues, including the 2024 presidential campaign, their marriage, which is already on the verge of dissolution, has been put under scrutiny. As a consequence of this, Amal and George have both struggled to fulfill a commitment that they first made when they got married in 2014. During the wedding ceremony that took place in 2014, the couple made a commitment to one another, stating that they would not be separated for more than a week each time they were together. In addition, George Clooney mentioned that he and Amal had discussed the importance of ensuring that they do not have an excessive amount of responsibilities and that they do not neglect their family. Priority one for them is their family. To the general public, both of them appear to be the epitome of happiness while walking the red carpet. Additionally, it is a well-known fact that they never fail to brag about each other in public. According to their friends, however, there are concerns regarding the status of their marriage. As a result of the fact that a significant number of couples in Hollywood do not succeed, friends are concerned that their own love story will end up being like the typical Hollywood love story. 90% of the time, they are living in two very different worlds because their jobs continue to require more of their time than they have available. Both of them are living their lives uniquely. It is expected that her husband, George Clooney, will soon be moving to New York City for approximately 1 year, during which time he will be making his debut on Broadway. It is anticipated that the play will be performed in the spring of 2025, and he is both writing and starring in the stage adaptation of his film about journalist Edward R. Murrow, which was released in 2005. Because of their separate work commitments, the couple has been spending less and less time at their villa in Lake Como, Italy. This villa is the closest thing they have to a family home, but they have been spending less and less time there. To add insult to injury, even when they are at their villa, they are constantly thinking about their work. While working on projects that they are enthusiastic about, neither of them gives it a second thought before putting in 18-hour days. Amal Clooney's work continues to consume a significant amount of her time, and one could argue that the nature of her work puts her in a potentially dangerous situation. How risky is the work that she does? Amal Clooney takes on Israel. Amal Clooney, whose parents fled Lebanon during the Civil War crisis, is one of the legal experts who recommended that the chief prosecutor of the world's top war crimes court seek arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and leaders of the militant Hamas group. Clooney's parents fled Lebanon during the crisis. In a letter that was published on the website of the Clooney Foundation for Justice, the human rights attorney was quoted as saying that she had participated in the organization. It was revealed by her that she and other experts in international law had reached a unanimous consensus to recommend that Karim Khan, the chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, submit a request for the warrants. It is her assertion that she was a member of the panel because she is a supporter of the rule of law and the necessity of safeguarding the lives of civilians. It was brought to her attention that the law that safeguards civilians during times of war was formulated more than a century ago, and it is applicable in every nation on the planet, irrespective of the factors that led to the conflict. Specifically, Amal mentioned that 2 of the panel's members are former judges at criminal tribunals in The Hague, which is the location of the International Criminal Court, ICC. The panel was composed of experts in international criminal law and international humanitarian law. In addition to that, she mentioned that their decision was unanimous. In addition, the panel wrote an opinion piece about its recommendation and published it in the Financial Times. Furthermore, Amal stated that, in her capacity as a human rights attorney, she will never accept the notion that the life of a child is of lesser value than the life of another child. She does not believe that any conflict should be beyond the reach of the law, nor does she believe that any perpetrator should be above the law. For this reason, she is in favor of the historic step that was taken by the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court in order to provide justice to the victims of atrocities that have occurred in Israel and Palestine. If the International Criminal Court, ICC, decides to issue arrest warrants and allow a case to move forward, the decision will be made by a panel of 3 judges. The time it takes the judges to make decisions of this nature is typically 2 months. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and 3 Hamas leaders, Yahya Sinwar, Mohammed Dayef, and Ismail Haniyeh, were all accused of committing war crimes and crimes against humanity in Israel and the Gaza Strip, according to an announcement made by Khan. As a result of the fact that Israel is not a member of the court, even in the event that the arrest warrants are issued, Netanyahu and Gallant do not bear any immediate risk of being prosecuted. On the other hand, the possibility of being arrested could make it difficult for Israeli leaders to travel outside of the country. However, despite the fact that Amal and her colleagues are working hard to bring an end to the conflict in the Middle East as quickly as possible, few people share their concern for the situation. When the International Criminal Court, ICC, moved to seek arrest warrants for Netanyahu and Gallant, President Biden joined Israel in condemning this action. According to him, the action was outrageous, and he suggested that it put the leaders of a nation, who were reacting to a brutal terrorist attack, on an equal footing with the organization that launched the attack and whose objective is to eradicate that nation. For Amal, the year 2024 has been a challenging year at times. To what extent has the year brought her any kind of happiness, taking into consideration the circumstances that surround her life and the work that she does? After 10 years of love, Amal and George have been married for 10 years, and despite the fact that their marriage may be going through a difficult period at the moment, the couple has enjoyed 10 years of happiness and love with each other. At a breathtaking ceremony that took place in Venice, Italy, on September 7, 2014, the Hollywood power couple joined their lives together as husband and wife. 10 years and 2 children later, George Clooney, who is now 63 years old, and the human rights lawyer, who is 46 years old, are still going strong and enjoy living a low-key life with their twin children, Alexander and Ella, who are 7 years old. Italy was the place where the couple's love story first began. In the year 2013, George, who was regarded as a member of the Hollywood royalty, believed that he would continue to be eligible for marriage indefinitely. A dinner party was held at his enormous villa on Lake Como, which he had rented out. At that time, Amal Alamuddin, who was highly esteemed in her career but not necessarily known to the general public,
and the Oscar goes to George Clooney and Syriana,
was brought along as the guest of a mutual friend. Additionally, she was not necessarily known to the general public. The Oscar-winning actor shared his story with British Vogue about the evening that altered his life. George made the observation that despite the fact that she was stunning, he found her to be extremely fascinating. His interest was piqued by her brilliant nature as well.
I have more freedom to say what I want than lawyers who practice here all the time.
His curiosity was piqued by the extraordinary nature of the work that she was doing, as well as the nature of the clients that she was taking on. And from that point forward, he was completely captivated by her. The moment he laid eyes on her, he fell in love. Sparks immediately flew between them as the dinner continued into the night, and the Italian lake served as the perfect backdrop for the romantic atmosphere that they were experiencing. They became engaged at the beginning of 2014. Amal and George made the decision to carry out their wedding ceremony in Italy, specifically in the city of Venice, which, according to her husband, is the most romantic city in the entire world. This decision may not come as a surprise to anyone. It should come as no surprise that the guest list was composed of celebrities, as well as members of the bride and groom's family and close friends. During the wedding, Amal wore a gown made of French lace by Oscar de la Renta, and George wore a tuxedo made by Giorgio Armani. The couple exchanged their vows in a small ceremony, and then they hosted a larger reception that was attended by other celebrities, such as Matt Damon, Bono, Cindy Crawford, and Randy Gerber. The year that Amal and her husband George became husband and wife was also the year that they established their roots in the countryside of the United Kingdom. A stunning Grade II listed building from the 17th century was purchased by the couple in Sunning Eye, which is located across the border between Oxfordshire and Berkshire. Sunning-on-Thames Village is just a short distance away. On the other hand, George and Amal gave the structure their own unique touch by performing some renovations on the house that cost £12 million. They decided to make it their permanent residence. There are a number of bedrooms and reception rooms, a study for both George and Amal, a cinema for screenings where the Oscar-winning actor edits a significant amount of his work, a large entry hall with high ceilings, and a great deal of beautiful English architecture. The arrival of George and Amal's fraternal twins brought about a profound change in their lives, which occurred 3 years after they had completed their wedding in Italy. Ella and Alexander were born on June 6, 2017, at St. Mary's Hospital in London, which is also the location where Prince William and the Princess of Wales welcomed all 3 of their children. Amal would put her foot down against George and sternly warn him against naming their children Casa and Amigos. George joked that he wanted to name the twins after his tequila brand, but Amal would put her foot down against him. George and Amal have been extremely protective of their children, despite the fact that they are one of the most well-known couples in the entertainment industries. Their faces have never been seen by the general public, and they hardly ever discuss them in interviews. They have never shown them to the public. In point of fact, George reaffirmed in a recent interview how essential it was for them to ensure that Alexander and Ella are safeguarded. The actor explained that he and his family do not have the luxury of being able to go about their business freely in a crowded area without being disturbed. It is never possible for them to have a moment in which they can make the decision to go for a stroll through Central Park without being harassed. The couple is aware that they deal with very serious issues and with very serious bad guys. As a consequence, they do not want to have photographs of their children available to the public. As a result, they have to make a concerted effort to maintain their privacy, which is a very challenging task to accomplish. Amal Clooney's life is significantly impacted by George Clooney, who is deeply involved in her life. They make every effort to provide support and assistance to one another at all times and in every circumstance. Given the significance that George holds for Amal, the tale of his life is of equal significance. George Clooney made his debut into the world on May 6, 1961, in Lexington, Kentucky. He was the first person to ever be introduced to the world. In addition to being a beauty queen, his mother, Nina Bruce, served on the city council. Nick Clooney, his father, is a former television host and anchorman, having worked for the AMC network for a total of 5 years encompassing his career. The controversial statements that George Clooney made in 1998 regarding religion were made despite the fact that he was born and raised in a family that adhered to the strict Roman Catholic faith. In the year 1998, he stated that he was unsure whether or not he believed in God or heaven to begin with. Clooney pursued his high school education at Augusta High School after his parents relocated to Augusta, Kentucky. During his time in school, he was a diligent student, as evidenced by the fact that he received all A's and a B in his assignments. He participated in a variety of sports in addition to his academic pursuits, including baseball and basketball. In 1977, he made an attempt to play baseball at the professional level with the Cincinnati Reds. However, he was not selected for employment after the first round of player cuts and was not offered a contract. Between the years 1979 and 1981, he was a student at Northern Kentucky University, where he majored in broadcast journalism. He also attended the University of Cincinnati for a very brief period of time, but he did not graduate from either institution. He later made money by selling women's shoes, selling insurance door-to-door, stocking shelves, working in construction, and cutting tobacco. He also worked in the construction industry. Over the course of time, what would happen to George? His first role was as an extra in the television miniseries Centennial, which was released in 1978. The series was based on James A. Michener's novel of the same name, and it was partially filmed in Augusta, Kentucky, which is George Clooney's hometown. George Clooney is now considered a movie royalty. It was in 1984 that Clooney made his debut in a significant role in the CBS sitcom E&R, which came to an abrupt end. This is not to be confused with the long-running medical drama ER. He appeared as Bobby Hopkins, a detective, in an episode of The Golden Girls and played a handyman on the series The Facts of Life. He also appeared in an episode of The Golden Girls. His first prominent role was a semi-regular supporting role in the sitcom Roseanne, in which he played the role of Booker Brooks, Roseanne Barr's supervisor. This was followed by a role as a construction worker on Baby Talk, a co-starring role on the CBS drama Bodies of Evidence, in which he played Detective Ryan Walker, and then a turn as Detective James Falconer on Sisters, which lasted for an entire year. In the comedy horror film Return of the Killer Tomatoes Dot, which was released in 1988, George was one of the leading actors in one of the roles. In 1990, he had a starring role in the long-running police drama Sunset Beat, which aired on ABC. During this time period, George attended the Beverly Hills Playhouse Acting School for a total of 5 years as a student. The role of Dr. Doug Ross, which George Clooney played on the popular NBC medical drama ER from 1994 to 1999, brought him a great deal of fame. Other notable cast members included Anthony Edwards, Juliana Margulies, and Noah Weil. Following his departure from the show in 1999, he made a cameo appearance in the 6th season and then returned for a guest spot in the show's final season. His work on the series was recognized, as evidenced by the fact that he was nominated for 2 Primetime Emmy Awards in the category of Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series in the years 1995 and 1996 simultaneously. In addition, his performance earned him 3 nominations for the Golden Globe Award in the category of Best Actor, Television Series Drama in the years 1995, 1996, and 1997. However, he was ultimately unsuccessful in winning the award, as his co-star Anthony Edwards was the recipient of the award. Clooney went on to star in a number of films that were commercially successful after he left the show ER. One of these films was Wolfgang Petersen's The Perfect Storm, which was a disaster film that was a commercial success. The same year, he had a starring role in the adventure comedy Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?, which was directed by the Coen brothers through the participation of John Goodman, Tim Blake Nelson, and John Turturro. Both Homer's epic Greek poem The Odyssey and the classic film Sullivan's Travels, which was released in 1941, served as inspiration for the film, which was a modern satire. Mr. George played the role of Ulysses Everett McGill, an escaped convict. As a result of his performance, he was eligible for consideration for the Golden Globe Award in the category of Best Actor in a Motion Picture Musical or Comedy. It was the following year, in 2001, that Clooney and Soderbergh worked together again on the heist comedy Ocean's 11. This film was a remake of the Rat Pack film of the same name, which was released in the 1960s. Clooney played Danny Ocean, who had been portrayed by Frank Sinatra in the original film. Clooney, Brad Pitt, Julia Roberts, Matt Damon, and Andy Garcia were among the actors who appeared in the movie. In the film, Clooney established himself as a leading film star. The film has grossed $451 million all over the world, making it Clooney's most successful film to date, with him playing the lead role. In the world of Hollywood, George Clooney was a hugely successful actor. After that, he made the decision to start his own business. To what extent, however, would his business venture be successful? George now has a career in the spirits industry. Being a well-known figure in Hollywood and a filmmaker means that financial difficulties would not be an issue for you. However, there are a few actors who even consider taking the next step and entering the field of entrepreneurship. However, this is a very small percentage of the actors. One of these remarkable personalities is George Clooney, who is widely regarded as one of the most successful actors in the history of the entertainment industry. However, a significant portion of his wealth is derived from his other passion, which is tequila. During the year 2012, George Clooney and Randy Gerber, a close friend of his and a businessman who is also the husband of Cindy Crawford, owned homes in Mexico that were directly adjacent to each other. This is where the story of his venture into the business begins. A private plot of land known as Casamigos, which literally translates to House of Friends, was the location where the two chose to construct their homes. Both of the men took a significant amount of tequila while they were in Mexico. They would go out to restaurants and bars, and the bartenders would recommend them to different establishments. Gerber made the observation that many of them were expensive, while others were not very good. When the two friends were unable to locate a tequila that met their requirements in terms of smoothness, flavor profile, and cost, they decided to make their own tequila. They had to put in a lot of effort and try out more than 700 different blind taste test samples with their friends and family before they finally settled on something that they were thrilled with. When they first started making tequila, they did so for their own personal consumption and stored the bottles in their homes. Additionally, they distributed the homemade tequila to their family members and close friends. It was never the intention of the two individuals to make the formula available for commercial use. However, their friends and family loved it so much that they quickly reached a level of approximately 1,000 bottles per year in a small group of family and friends. During that time period, they were manufacturing under a sub-brand of their producer, and they did not possess the appropriate certifications and licenses to sell or distribute their products. Because of the rapidity with which they were achieving their goals, however, they were compelled to make a decision. Either they should slow down or they should increase their efforts. They went with the second option. In addition to bringing in real estate developer Mike Meldman as a third partner, the two individuals established Casamigos as a fully operational brand. Following the signing of a distribution and importing agreement in 2013, the Casamigos started selling their products in the United States. By virtue of Clooney's celebrity status, Gerber's connections to the nightlife scene, and Meldman's profound connections to the luxury hospitality industry, the brand enjoyed a number of advantages. This is the ideal combination of partnership. As a result of the brand's rapid expansion, it was able to sell more than 450,000 bottles in 2014, which is equivalent to 38,000 9-liter cases. 2018 saw a doubling of their production to 80,000 9-liter cases. Diageo, another large company, was keeping a close eye on the rapid growth of the company because it recognized the potential benefits of expanding Casamigos across the country and the world of business. It was announced in 2017 that Diageo would acquire Casamigos in a transaction that was worth more than $1 billion. There was an initial payout of $700 million, and there was the possibility of an additional $300 million over the course of the next 10 years, depending on how well the business performed. Casamigos is one of the first brands of tequila that people think of today. It is sold in almost every bar and liquor store in the United States of America, as well as in dozens of other countries around the world, including Mexico. Even though they are separated by a great distance, would the Clooneys be able to withstand the test of time? Given the demands of their jobs, what strategies do they intend to implement in order to safeguard their relationship? In the comments section, please be sure to share your thoughts with us. For additional content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Furthermore, click the following video that is displayed on your screen. You are going to take pleasure in it.